We're live. Chase.
Literally live.
We are actually live
Not
on
fake
Twitter
live
right
like
now.
before.
If you're listening to the podcast after, we're live on Twitter right now. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button while you're over there. But we're here. We're at the Marriott Center still. They're still cleaning up. I think we're the last couple people in here right now. 11:14 Mountain Time right now. BYU wins their third straight Big 12 game in a row, takes down Baylor in overtime. There is so much to unpack here. I don't even know where to start. Do we start with Conor McGregor? Do we start with Kanon Catchings not missing a shot tonight? I don't know where to start here.
I don't know either. Let's start here. This was one of the most entertaining games to happen in this building.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down. From just a pure basketball perspective, the crowd, obviously the stars. This was one of the very best games played in the Marriott Center of all time.
I was telling Chase this before. So now I wasn't at the BYU Utah game, at a wedding. That person is probably listening right now. So missed the BYU Utah game for a wedding. Shout out Fall Weddings. But I didn't go to that one. But I was going to say this is my favorite event I've ever covered at BYU.
It's up there for me. We've been doing this for a couple of years, so very recent.
Yeah,
guys.
very recent.
We're still super young, as you can obviously tell. Being at Utah and Salt Lake for the Will Ferrin kick to beat them, my number one. This is number two. This was just so, and look, you're like, oh, it's just some random game in January. Yeah, it is. It was so fun.
It was
so fun.
You were saying it after. It just felt like a fever dream being here with the Conor McGregor stuff, and then on top of that, into the actual basketball of it all. Oh my gosh, what an up and down game. There's 30 plus NBA draft scouts here. VJ Edgecombe, we'll get into that. What a game he had tonight. Dudes on BYU, came out to that early lead, and it was just back and forth, back and forth. Just an awesome night all around. Just an elite basketball game.
Elite basketball game. If you like the sport at all, this is one that you put in the bank to be like, I'll watch this when I'm bored next year, or when I'm having a basketball itch and I just want to watch a good game. I don't know if many people do that unless you're sickos like us.
Yep. But
there's certain games I have in the bank that I'm like, if I just really want to watch a good basketball game back on YouTube, I will. This one's one of them. Going to overtime, the way it was played out, elite offensive on both sides. You already mentioned it. It was just fun.
So usually we start with first half stuff and then move on to the very end of the game. Let's get into the basketball right now. Let's start in overtime. What a wacky overtime that was. BYU goes up 87-81, and then BYU doesn't touch the ball, and all of a sudden, basically didn't touch the ball after that turnover out of bounds, but all of a sudden it's 87-86. Chase, in that moment when Baylor brought it within one in overtime, what was your confidence level that BYU could win that game?
It went down, but for some reason, Karter, this one was different than all the rest. They're close with TCU. You're not feeling good. They're close with Ole Miss. You're not feeling great. They're close with Texas Tech. You're not feeling good. For some reason, I actually have no way how to explain it, and this is bad podcasting. I just was like, I still think BYU pulls this off. I think this team's a little bit different. I think they've gained the confidence. I think they're better than they were. And the crowd was elite.
This was an awesome crowd, especially for a Tuesday night game.
Night, yeah.
We talked about it. We go, okay, this is going to be better than the Cincinnati crowd. But, Tuesday night games, you typically don't know what to expect. I will say, people can say what they want about it. Conor McGregor did help with the crowd tonight because it was amped up, and he was buying in with the crowd and everything. And the players all saw him courtside. Mawit Mag hits that big-time corner three, turns
in
around.
his face.
Yeah, right next to Conor McGregor. Really, let's talk about that sentence real quick. Mawit Mag hits a big-time three-pointer at the end of a game and turns around to Conor McGregor courtside in the Marriott Center for a BYU basketball game.
And then hits VJ Edgecombe in the face on accident.
Yeah.
Wild night. I've told you earlier, tonight felt like a fever dream if you were there in the Marriott Center. It was just like, I don't even know what's going on. We're not even talking about Karter. There's a million people from NBA teams there. Yep. There's scout out, and we'll get into that later. But amazing night. As far as overtime goes, BYU was down, not down. They were up by just that 1 point. But there's something inside me. I just felt like tonight was BYU's night. They weren't going to lose. Mm-hmm. McGregor's in the building, yep. Right? And
Jared McGregor was in the
Jared
building.
McGregor and Conor McGregor in the building. I don't know if there's a relation. I doubt it. But something about the energy tonight was different for BYU. And I think that comes from the players. Yes, the crowd was awesome. Celebrities, super sweet. They just moved with a different confidence tonight. And when they were faced with a big look, like you let that game get to overtime, and that was a little, for some teams, pretty demoralizing, right? Because you felt like you had that in the bag with a couple minutes to go there. Baylor hit some. Oh my gosh, they hit some big shots.
Oh,
they hit every big shot.
I almost wanted to start with that. Credit to Baylor. Credit to Scott Drew. VJ Edgecombe is holy smokes, man. Tonight was an all-time night for NBA draft scouts to be here. We did it on the preview show yesterday where we said, hey, this game is massive for these NBA guys. It's massive for Kanon Catchings, Yegor Demon, VJ Edgecombe, and honestly, Richie Saunders and some other guys on Baylor as well. And Edgecombe and Catchings, I bet they flew up draft boards. I know VJ Edgecombe was already a top 5, top 7 pick, but I mean, you look at that performance tonight, and it's not just, okay, he scored 27 points or whatever. It was the shots he made in the big moments in a crazy environment. It was just cold shot after cold shot and making big-time decisions as a freshman. Elite stuff from him. And then Kanon tonight, I mean, he was probably falling down to second round or even off draft boards on a lot of people's boards. I would say he's back up on a lot of boards. That's how quick things can change. You shoot 8 for 8 in the biggest game of the season so far and put on that kind of performance in front of that many scouts. That says something.
Absolutely. Going back to Baylor real quick, because I do need to give him a shout out. There's a reason this game was great. It's because both teams were really dang good.
Yeah.
And there was legit stars in this game. Like, you just look at them. By the way, all of them freshmen.
Yeah.
All of them 18 freaking years old. I mean, insane stuff. VJ Edgecombe had at least like 4 like legit crowd silencers when the top of the Marriott Center was ready to blow off, and he hit just shot after shot. I think it's fair to say he was the most impressive guy on the floor tonight. Obviously, BYU got the win, was the better team tonight on the floor, but VJ Edgecombe was like,
I'm looking at the stats.
It was
right
just,
now too.
It was a pleasure to watch him, and we're BYU guys, and we wanted them to win. It was a pleasure to watch VJ Edgecombe and Wright and these guys from Baylor just hit some of the most stone cold shots I've ever seen in this building.
And look, I know Baylor's had some tough games and some skids, and they haven't been where they want to be. And I still think they're still trying to figure out their front court and whatnot. But that is a team right now. If you're a BYU fan listening to this, you obviously watched the game tonight. You're going to remember what you saw tonight. And then when you're filling out your bracket come March Madness time, you're going to go, man, guard play wins in March. I like this Baylor team. They have a coach that's won a national championship, have an elite head coach. And shout out Scott Drew, too, in the press conference. That dude, man, whew, he was able to play the media game so well.
He's an SID's dream.
Yeah, he is an SID's dream.
He's perfect.
He didn't give any quotes, anything. It was all credit to BYU. He was level-headed, calm, gave praise to God at the Marriott
cracked
Center.
A joke at the end.
He cracked a joke about the other team at the end. It was like lighthearted and everything.
A good joke about how amazing Kanon was.
So. Yeah. No, he handled it very well. But credit to Baylor and everything. But let's go back to BYU. In overtime, they come out with a lineup without Kanon and Yegor. How did you feel about that with Dallin coming in the game?
Yeah, it was shocking. I mean, I think the philosophy there behind it was like, hey, you got 5 minutes to give Yegor, a quick break, and then get him in the biggest minutes, which is like, 3 and under.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he ended up going in around like under 3 minutes. But Kanon was left out of the game. We'll get to that later as we talk, and you guys can share your thoughts in the chat with us about Kanon, because that was a big storyline tonight, despite his amazing game and not being able to play the last like 8 minutes of that game. But the lineup today, I actually was really impressed, because there were some times when I thought like I didn't like it. You're running out there with Dallin, Trevin Nell, Moet Mag, Foose, Richie, and you're like, I don't know how this works. I don't know where the offense is coming from, but they came through and actually got out to that lead. The start overtime was without Yegor. And that's credit to guys like Dallin Hall, who you look at the stats, wasn't an amazing game. He was so calm, cool, and collected. Yep. Save that one turnover he had in the corner, but I mean, bad situation, whatever. The rest of the time, very calm, absolutely controlled the offense and the ball, and ultimately led BYU to a win. And Richie Saunders, in the biggest moments, right, when it counted, got to the basket, hit big shots, got fouled, was aggressive. But Whit Mag, lights out defense on Edgecombe, although Edgecombe obviously was so amazing. You couldn't even do anything about it. But like he was just tailing him around the whole court, hit that massive three in McGregor's face. Credit all of them. The lineups worked tonight, and we're going to talk about the Kanon Catchings things. But at the end of the day, Kevin Young said this in his presser. He's like, we opted to go with experience, and it worked.
Yep, and that's the other thing is when they made the switch to Yegor for Dallin and they had more experienced lineup in that game is you could normally I would say Yegor is a calming presence on the court and whatnot, but in those heightened situations, you want guys that have been there before and that have done it and have won in those spots. And Dallin didn't feel out of place at the end of the game there and in overtime, and everything was a lot more level-headed. And this isn't a diss at Yegor or anything. This is more of a credit to Dallin Hall and this coaching staff for that's a ballsy call right there, putting in Dallin Hall. And I thought he played well enough. I thought he controlled the offense enough, and credit to him, credit to this team for getting it done in overtime.
Yeah, it's not something that will stand out in the stat sheet, but it was a difference today. I don't know the difference, but a big difference. Let's get to chat a little bit here.
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you guys for commenting, and if you're in it, listening, watching, share your thoughts. We love to hear them. Read them on the pod. Nicholson Nolan, shout out. Thank you for letting us know you could hear and see. We're checking the live here. Nathaniel, Nathan, Nate, whichever one you go by. A win is a win is a win is a win. I think this is more than just a win. This is a great win.
Yeah, and I mean,
awesome.
This will be a later thing, but I mean, this puts you right back into tournament position.
We're right back.
You're right back drinking the blue Kool-Aid and everything. Well, I mean, this is what we talked about. And when we were doing this at the beginning of Big 12 play after Houston whooped them, it's that, okay, yeah, you had this little skid right here, but if you can just rattle off 3-4 in a row in the Big 12, they're all typically good wins in this conference. And tonight it's a great win for the tournament resume. And I think Baylor's only going to get better and better if we're being honest. But this is huge for the tournament resume. Now it's time to go win on the road, win at UCF. Don't fall into these trap games and don't lose at home against Kansas State. If they can win at UCF and go 500 from there on the rest of the season, go 1-1 each week, you're in March Madness. You're dancing. You're getting your name called on Selection Sunday. That's what matters. That goal is now there. It's attainable. You can see it. Because before 3 games prior to this, that wasn't happening. That wasn't really a thought. It was just, let's get our confidence back.
Yeah, and it's back. And this is the first time, I mean, and it's only been 2 seasons. Can you believe that last year's team never won more than 2 games in a row in conference play?
No, I actually do believe that because the way that Mark Pope team played, and we're seeing it at Kentucky right now, is when you take that many 3-point shots and you rely on the 3-ball too much, it's impossible to string together that many wins in a row against teams that are equally or if not more talented than you are. And like I said, we're seeing that at Kentucky, and I don't know if that system will ever necessarily work in March Madness. I think you just got to have NBA-type dudes to have that happen.
Yeah, I think you're right. But this is the first time that they've won 3 games in a row in the Big 12, which is impressive in any way, shape, or form. And so big wins and big for confidence, big for the resume. This tonight was huge and for so many reasons. We'll get into them. Let's go back to chat here real quick. Nolan Mickelson said, shout out Nolan again, tonight the main man was Catchings, but Yegor has been the difference for this team since the second half of the Colorado game. I absolutely agree with you, Nolan. I think that's a great take. We talked about it in the preview and after that Colorado game, heading into Cincy and everything. Yegor's back. Like, he's all the way back.
Yep.
And we don't want to toot our own horns too much here, but we never gave up on him. We never gave up on Yegor, even though a lot of people were preemptively saying some things about how he wasn't living up to expectations and that he might not be good. People were saying he should not start, and look, I don't want to, you have your take. We stuck with Yegor. Yegor stuck with us in his heart, and he's all the way back. And I think Nolan's right here when he says this game and Kanon was amazing. And, they don't win without Kanon. It was an amazing night. Yegor's this team. They'll go as far as he takes them. He has been playing at another level these past 3 games. And tonight against Baylor, elite guards, he did it again.
And it's the same thing we've talked about since that second half of Colorado. What's been the difference? It's been pushing the tempo, a lot more ball movement, a lot more off-ball movement. Guys are playing together. Guys are playing harder. And when that comes, it compounds into confidence, and everything goes up from there, and everybody's getting in their flow and rhythm. You guys have heard me say that 1,000 times on this podcast, but it's so true, and we're seeing it right now. We saw it second half against Colorado. We saw it especially in that Cincinnati game, and we saw it tonight as well against a really good Baylor team. I just can't get over how big of a win this is. Like, going into tonight, you go, oh man, if they don't get this one, I don't know. We're kind of back to the drawing board a little bit, but pulling that one out, and especially Chase pulling out a close game, because BYU has struggled in these close games. This gives you the confidence, because it's almost these building blocks of, okay, BYU couldn't win a road game. You guys, BYU stinks on the road. Okay, they took care of Colorado. We know for a fact they can win a road game. Okay, now can you beat a physical team that is known for its defense and wants to muck it up? Okay, they whooped Cincinnati, took care of them, no problem. And then tonight, okay, can you win a close game against a team that is that people would say is probably better than and higher ranked than? And they went out and did it tonight. And so these few things will just, the confidence is just going to keep growing and growing and growing. And it's important not to fall in traps. And Saturday, you got to be focused, locked in.
Saturday, you got to be focused. And we're going to do our research, Carter. We're going to come on Friday.
UCF. Shout out Johnny Dawkins.
Johnny Dawkins, UCF.
They almost got it done at Kansas.
Almost got the Jayhawks tonight.
Yeah.
Big game. But I want to go back to what you're saying there, Carter. You know, and Kevin Young's mentioned this multiple times throughout this conference play month so far, is that, look, they've been so close in all of these games, like so close, except for the Houston game, and he makes sure to mention that every time. Where, you know, they lost 4 out of 5, and you're like, we see something there, but you can't be losing these games to TCU, Utah, whatever. Their confidence was shot, and that's what happens when you keep losing these ones that you feel like you had. It's back, though. You know, it came in the form of, okay, you beat up on a bad Colorado team, then you defend home court against Cincinnati, who hasn't had the greatest season, but, you know, physical and whatever. Now you got to play a good team, a tournament team for sure, quad one game. You took it to overtime even, and you came through in a tight game. I think this win was perfect for their confidence, even more so because the narrative maybe going in was like, okay, BYU can blow the doors off you in the second half. Can they win the close one? Because they still hadn't done that, right?
Yep.
Colorado was a blowout. Cincinnati ended up being a blowout. But this was the night where they kind of proved that wrong, and they took that narrative and they said, no, we can be calm, cool, collected. We can make smart decisions, and we can win this big game in the toughest of environments. It's not the toughest environments, but in the situation where Baylor's hitting every big shot, it feels like. They're getting to the line. They're hitting their free throws. Guess what? BYU did it too. They hit their free throws. They got to the basket, made their shots, and they got the stops they needed. Good clock management at the end. Made your free throws to seal it. Shout out Dawson Baker, a great out-of-bounds play. All this stuff that they have been missing, and all of a sudden, it's here now against a really good Baylor team. Was huge.
And we'll get to the chat here in a second, but talking about the, you know, closing out this game and everything, you go, okay, who was kind of their go-to guy tonight and everything? There really wasn't a go-to guy at the very end, but it's a credit to everyone. Everybody in some way stepped up in a huge, major way tonight, whether it was Mag hitting that big-time corner three, whether it was Yegor Demon playing his game, Kanon getting red hot, Richie obviously doing what he does, Kaba as a defensive force and not fouling out in this game. And those little things were huge tonight, and Down coming in as a calming presence and everything. Just a lot of guys playing big roles tonight in big moments, and just a huge win.
Yeah, I think you're really seeing – I think they're really starting to gel, and they're starting to feel the groove together now.
There's like a togetherness. There's chemistry, because that's the other thing on the offensive side of the ball. Even in those 3 losses, you know, you could say they're close and whatnot. I think that was more of a talent versus talent on the other side. It wasn't as much how great the team was playing offensively, because this team is playing much better offensively, even against better teams right now. I think it was – in those games where they lost, it was okay. It was just, the offense is stagnant. There wasn't much chemistry. Guys didn't really feel like they know where their spots were. Complete 180.
Absolutely. And you look, BYU plays a lot of guys.
Yeah.
For a college basketball team, play a lot of dudes. But in every instance, like you mentioned, in that overtime, they run out with this lineup, and you're like, this isn't the lineup I'd choose, but okay. It ended up working out.
Yeah.
And like so many guys play so many different with so many minutes with so many different people. I think that maybe shook them up early on. I don't know exactly, but what I do know now is it's working now. They're gelling and they're starting to know, to feel each other's presence on the court. And it's just an innate sense that you get when you play with someone, and you kind of understand. And with a guy who has a elite vision like Yegor, you need that. Now it's better, right? Yegor knows where Cabe is going to be, off the pick and roll, and Richie's really starting to get a feel of sitting in the corner and finding open spots, coming off of screens. And I think everyone's started to just settle into each other's play styles and come together. And that's big in part when we realized BYU is just better when they just push the ball, play up tempo, move it around. And so huge tonight. And the matchups ended up working out. In times when I was like, I don't know what they're doing here. I said to you like 4 different times tonight, I was like, I don't like this matchup. I don't like this roster right now. What are we doing here? It worked out. And, a win is a win. And the offense was amazing all night. I mean, you scored 92 points on Baylor. That's always a good night.
Let's take a quick break for the podcast, and we'll answer some chats right after that.
Yeah.
Chase, let's read some chats right now.
All right. We got Nathan Hot Takes. Shout out Nathan, who does – it's Nathaniel Milligan. He said Nathan's fine. So shout out Nathan. So Nathan with his hot takes. Hot take number 1, we can win close games. I think you're right. I think BYU can.
Tonight proved it.
I think that's a boom on the hot take meter. We moved quite a bit more in the second half and shot worse. Maybe us couch coaches don't know ball, but let's just say it was a fluke. I kept stressing about the lineup, but KY knows rotations apparently. Dang. Yeah, I'm right with it.
We were in the same spot. We were we were up there on the press row, and we're going, I don't know about this lineup. And then all of a sudden a dude would knock down a 3 and we go, all right, maybe this is why we're not making Kevin Young's salary. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Great take tonight, Nathan. I think you're absolutely right. It's basically like
he nailed it.
What I just said. Shout out our guy, Jack Carpenter. We love you, Jack. Glad I beat the allegations. That's right. Jack was in attendance and they got the dub. Congrats. Maybe we never needed the Costco guys. Has it been Conor McGregor all along? So happy for Kanon. This has been a long time coming. I'll just say this. I trust KY. I do too.
This was a huge win tonight for just the fan base in general, for a lot of people to this bought a lot of trust in Kevin Young tonight, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I agree. Because again, I was like, that's all what I would do. Why I'm not coaching this team.
Yep, 100%.
That's why we're sitting here.
This is why we're sitting here talking about them, and that's why they're out there doing it.
Yeah, it's so good. Nathan again said Yegor and Dallin split minutes equally. I think he was kind of responding to us as we were talking.
Yeah.
Sorry for the delay, guys. We'd love to do this like right away. Yegor looked amazing tonight. Nathan again, first close game win, feels so good. Right there with you. Like I actually liked. I don't know. I say it in retrospect. I liked that the game went to overtime. Because it's like, okay, they kind of let it slip there, but it took a really amazing Baylor performance to let it slip, and you still got it done. You still got to like rally behind, be like, okay, like we got to figure this out. That overtime huddle, if you're the team that let the lead go, is actually really hard. And if you were going to live bet a team, you typically want to take the team who has come back to get to overtime.
Yep.
Because they just have the momentum and they figured it out,
Especially if you're watching in the NBA, like NBA games, team goes up 18. It doesn't matter the way teams in the NBA hit threes and the momentum shifts and everything. So yeah, great point.
So that was a big moment where it's like we got to rally together here in this overtime timeout. Dallin literally hit the game winner. He just did it a second too late, and you're like, we got to play 5 more minutes with these cats, and they're hitting shots and they have great players. They rallied together and figured it out, and that is just massive for the confidence, massive to get the win in every essence. I've said it a lot, but
yeah,
huge.
Any more chats?
We've got a lot. RSM Coog, can we fly Tamika Catchings to every game? Kanon was incredible tonight. Guys, Kanon Catchings was awesome. I'm sure
we should get into the Kanon stuff.
If you're on Twitter, you probably saw this stat, and this was a very official account. You have to help me out in the chat if you've seen it, but he was the first freshman this century to be perfect and hit 4 threes and not miss a free throw.
Yeah.
Literally historic. Just an amazing game. He didn't miss. He saw nothing but makes tonight. I think he said he's in the press conference said, he's a quiet, he was kind of like, sheepishly smiling. He's like, nah. He's like, I thought I'd miss at some point.
He was trying to hide his smile, and he couldn't help it.
He thought he was happy, and I'm happy for him too. Amazing game.
Gosh,
and he was pulling up. It was big shots.
Just
tough.
And I think the Cincinnati game was a bit of a building block for that too, because you could see him come out of his shell a little bit and get that confidence back. And I think tonight propelled that even more. And you could just see that relief on Saturday against Cincinnati. And then if this is obviously he's not going to shoot 8 for 8 and not miss a shot in a game or whatever. But if he's able to be a double-digit scorer for BYU, this totally changes the outlook of this team and their potential.
Absolutely. If he can just do half of what he did tonight, just half of it, it's a huge asset, because he's the kind of guy that he just hits those tough shots. He was hitting step back middies, right, and threes in dudes' faces, and we've seen that talent. We've seen it all season. It just hasn't really come together. We've been missing out on it a little bit, but I think you're right, Carter. That second half Cincinnati made a big difference. Can we get Tamika Catchings to every game? I mean, why not? I think
there's a lot.
BYU's got the money.
There's a lot of stuff here. Is it Tamika Catchings? Is it Conor McGregor?
Is it the combination? Do we need both of them there?
Power couple?
Okay. All right. We could get Tamika Catchings on the court probably. She could teach these guys
how to shoot free throws.
Thing or two.
Free throw shooting, actually, shout out. That might have been the MVP tonight.
21 of 26.
Yeah.
It was huge. I mean, 21 points off a free throw is massive. I think the bigger thing than just making them was that you got to the line. It showed how aggressive BYU was, and Tony Padilla is behind that whistle.
It showed Tony Padilla how much he was.
Gosh, Tony Padilla.
He saw Conor McGregor courtside. And he goes, "You haven't seen anything. You haven't seen a thing."
Hey, guy, put the camera on me.
He goes, "What are you doing? Why are you guys cheering about this guy? I'm about to call another reaching foul. I'm about to say there's another phantom clock issue."
Yeah, I'm about to take 20 seconds at this table and not tell anyone what's going on.
Oh my gosh, Tony Padilla. Remember when we saw him in the hallway at the Utah BYU game? We just looked at each other.
Guys, I was this close to saying something to him, but bigger than that, whatever.
No, you can't. You're a big J journalist, Chase.
Big J journalist.
Yeah, big J journalist.
It could ruin my reputation.
Tony Padilla won't, though. Anyhow, from at the end of the game, we put out the quote or whatever in the post-game. Kanon Catchings, he was asked if he was frustrated, whether he was frustrated for not being able to play at the end of the game, wasn't put in the game after not missing a freaking shot. And he handled it so well. He said, "No, I just wanted to win the game." And he just went on talking about, I was cheering on my guys and whatnot. And he handled that very, very, very well, because if you're an 18-year-old, you're supposed to be an NBA draft pick, and you're supposed to be this star-studded dude at the school, and you've kind of had to take a back seat and come off the bench in a role you've never been used to in your life, because you've always typically been the star of the show. And for a night you went 8 for 8 and you still didn't play at the very end in overtime, and you had that answer in the post game. That means a lot, and that shows he is truly a team guy. And that just shows, this coaching staff being able to bring these guys together when it's tough, that Jonathan Tavernari talked about in a couple episodes ago, where it's really tough when you're a star-studded dude in high school and you got to come here and you're like, "Oh man, I'm not seeing the floor. Mm-hmm. I'm not getting in rhythm. I'm sitting in the corner a lot of the time." It's tough.
It is. That's a really good point by JT. He made a lot of really good points in that episode.
What about that one about Utah?
Still a good point. Anyway, it was a good Kanon game, but we do need to address, he was, I don't want to say forgotten, but Kevin Young said after the presser, right? He was like, "We just liked the matchups different. We didn't think Kanon fit well." I think he was defending those guards, and doing those things. And he said, right, he's like, "We opted for experience, and it worked." Mm-hmm. And look, at the end of the day, it did. If BYU loses this game, the entire story, and we're spending 30 minutes on this podcast, and we're saying, why did you not play Kanon Catchings the last 8 minutes of regulation? He was perfect. It came to the point, Carter, where I was leaning to you. I was like, just get Kanon the ball, let him shoot. Everything he sees going in, I don't care where he pulls up right now. I feel great about it, because he is literally hitting everything. Sometimes, and if you play basketball for your life, you had this feeling, and you're just like, I can't miss.
You're just in the zone. It's like you're unconscious.
Yeah, the basket is the size of the ocean, and everything's going in. Kanon was on one tonight. All right, going perfect in a Big 12 game against a high caliber team like Baylor is otherworldly. And look, it was weird, and I don't know if I'm going to say I agree with it. I do trust KY, but at some point it's like, why are we not putting this cat back in the game?
It was crazy. And look, that's why, like, credit to BYU. They got the win. They got it done. It doesn't matter. I was sitting there going, are you kidding me? He's not playing right now? It's a ballsy call, and it worked out. And once again, that's why we're not making their salary, Chase.
It's true.
We're not making the decisions, but you know I would have had – if I was the coach, I would have had Kanon Catchings in there just because I didn't want to answer a post-game press conference question.
Well, if I was the coach, I would have been like, every play we're going to run now is just going to go to Kanon Catchings. Shoot whenever you grab it, dude, because you're just on one right now. Let's go back to the chat. Spencer Folkman said, what game do you guys feel is more important win, UCF or Arizona? What does it look like if we go 2-1 or 0-2 in these next two?
Oh, that's a great question.
Great question.
Shout out Spencer. Oh man, that's tough because UCF is big because that's going to be a good environment and getting that road win is huge. But I'm going to go Arizona because Arizona's hitting their stride right now, and it's going to be another night like tonight. Maybe not with Conor McGregor in the building and just ridiculous stuff going on and going to overtime, but I think beating a prominent program like Arizona would do a lot. Going to the record part of it, 0-2 would hurt quite a bit. The confidence and the momentum you have going forward would really, really take a hit there. 1-1 is not the end of the world, and 1-1 is what I expect.
1-1, I think you feel as good as you do right now, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, and how it's going to happen, probably that one loss is you could be disgusted or not. But I expect a 1-1, and it doesn't really change how I feel about this team if they do that. Whether they lose to UCF or Arizona, vice versa, and then 2-0, we'll be buying flights to Kansas City to go. Yeah, we'll be on the next train, next flight to Kansas City in March for the Big 12 tournament, Chase.
2-0, there's gonna be some crazy things being said.
And I already have my Final Four flight, so yeah, maybe 2-0. Holy smokes!
Yeah, it's a great question, Spencer, because both have a good argument, right? UCF, you want to think about the monkey on your back of not being able to win this on the road, and it's a big game. You're traveling 2 time zone. You're playing a really tough, like I think Carter called them annoying earlier, in a good way, annoying UCF team where there's like, we got to go play UCF, man. That was big. But I'll ask you this.
1 second.
Go ahead.
Annoying, I mean by a team that's probably not going to make the tournament, but can upset anybody and ruin resumes.
Yeah, so annoying in a good sense. The UCF is very much like that. And, if you remember the Big 12 tournament last year, they actually gave BYU some trouble. Anyway, but I'll help you answer this question. If you could just choose, they're like, you're going to go 1-1 over these next 2. Which would you pick? You got to pick Arizona. It's a better resume builder. It's bigger in the long run because it's another quad 1 opportunity there against the really hot and good Arizona team who's going to the tournament. You'd take that win. So I'd say it's more important to get a win over Arizona, but it's not the end of the world because, look, they're hot. But it is going to be in Provo, right? It's going to be an environment like tonight, nice and rowdy. Arizona, as good as they are, they're led by the streakiest player who's ever played the game of college basketball in Caleb Love. So you just never know what that night's going to look like.
I know. I'll be at the Arizona game at Arizona. I'm excited for that one. We'll be here next week too. We might have to do another live reaction. We're going to be like 1 a.m. here, and I'm not getting up to like 5 a.m. if we're being honest. If we're doing a live reaction after Arizona, looking forward to that. You have tonight was a quad 1 win, and then your next 4 games now. UCF was a quad 2. It's now a quad 1 win. So you have 5 straight quad 1 games coming up. That is a great thing because, look, you go 500, you go 2-3, 3-2, whatever in that stretch, you're fine. Everything's fine. And you mentioned if they go 2-0, let me pull up the Big 12 standings here real quick because then that can also change the conversation when you talk about, conference tournament where they can be. Because right now BYU is going to be 5-4. It's 5-4 after tonight, so they're sitting at 7th right now in the Big 12. Only 1 game behind Texas Tech, who's in 4th right now for that double bye. If they go 2-0 in this stretch, they're right in that position to get a double bye in the Big 12 tournament, and you don't have to play until Thursday. That is a huge advantage.
Be huge, and that, like we said, if they go 2-0, then we, you start talking about single-digit March Madness seed and stuff like that.
And if you're getting a double bye in the Big 12 and March Madness, I mean, your Selection Sunday, you're hoping to hear you're a 4, 5, 6, 7 seed. I mean, 7 at the worst at that point if you're getting a double bye in this conference. So
absolutely, it's huge games coming up. I mean, you have opportunities. You're above. BYU's crawled their way back to above 500 here, 5-4. If you can stay above 500, you feel great about your chances. Let's go back to the chat. Jack Carpenter said, "Hey Chase, we didn't forget you picked Baylor." I'm glad you didn't forget, and you're absolutely right. I picked Baylor. I was wrong.
You know what makes me mad, Chase?
I was almost close. I was almost right.
Or maybe Chase reverse jinxed it. That's what inside sources are confirming. What makes me upset is I think I got bullied out of picking Yegor again for MVP, and I'm sticking to my guns the rest of the season. I'm picking Yegor for MVP, spoiler alert, for every time we do a preview, just because he will be the MVP in my mind for every single game. But, yeah, Foose played all right.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a Foose game, but
it was a Kanon game.
You love the stuff that Foose did. He grabbed massive rebounds there at the end, got some points.
Yeah, he did.
Jack also said Charlotte Hornets scouts when they see another BYU student make a half-court shot. Happened again tonight.
I know, because it was $10,000 and then it was $8,000 for tonight. I think like in 2 weeks, this person might just be getting like a Swig gift card or like a premium mutual subscription. They're like,
one free textbook for your next semester.
They're like, you get 1 year of mutual premium. They're like, sick.
Dude, if they probably would shoot at their lights out. They'd be like, I want that so bad. Nolan said, I think Yegor needs a nickname. I propose The Difference. What do you guys think?
I don't hate it.
I kind of like, I mean, we're going to play on the Russian. The Gulag? Is that a good? Yegor the Gulag Demon?
We do have in the vaults a Trump Yegor clip that maybe we'll release one day. I don't know. We'll keep working on the nickname.
The difference isn't bad.
I like the difference.
The difference because he makes such a big difference that you don't even see in the stats. You see it on the court.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
I like it. Let's run with that for now, and then we'll keep marketing. The marketing department. We'll get them.
I like a Russian themed one.
Yeah, I don't know Russian, so
I don't know if the Gulag is it, but
yeah,
is that even Russian?
Yegor, do Jägermeister? No,
Jägermeister.
Yeah, Jägermeister.
That's not bad.
I felt like that was too easy though.
Nathan said Tony Padilla is one of the refs of all time. That he is. He's one of the refs of all time.
I need a game so bad where none of the teams I care about are involved, but 2 teams I actually despise are involved, and the refs are TV Teddy Valentine, Jeffrey High Knees Anderson, and Tony Padilla. I mean, that is like that is the mafia.
We need a reality show about those guys.
Yeah, we need that would actually be a fascinating documentary following like these college basketball refs, because these dudes are working crazy schedules. I bet Tony Padilla is doing a G League game in Stockton, California. Like, these dudes are flying everywhere.
Yeah.
He's probably doing WCC stuff on Thursday.
Probably. Honestly, I mean, we saw him in Salt Lake just a week and a half ago. Yeah, anyway. Good old Padilla. Folky, who's Spencer Folkman, who's changed his name to Folky. I like it. Folky. BYU is 3rd for 3-point field goal percentage in the Big 12, but 13th for opponent 3-point field goal percentage. What would you guys like to see more defensively to guard the 3?
That's a good question, because it was these weird spots where they would pick to go zone tonight, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, why? Baylor was just able to pick apart that zone.
Shredded the zone.
They shredded the zone, and VJ Edgecombe was getting wide open threes from it.
Yeah.
I think it's a mix of overhelping, and I think that gets resolved a little bit. I'm not saying they're going to be an elite defensive team from the perimeter, but I think that all of a sudden, I think by the end of the Big 12 season, we see them at like 10th in that ranking. But yeah, I mean, it is a little bit of an issue because teams are getting open looks.
Yeah, we've said it all season. BYU's aggressive on doubling, strong side. We don't love it. It was a big problem earlier. I really don't think the defense was awful tonight. I just think Baylor hit massive shots.
Yeah, they hit a lot of tough
They were
shots.
46% from 3, and some of them were wide open, and it's like bad rotations, and the screen they had amazing sets for ready to go. Some of them were just VJ Edgecombe in your face.
And right as well.
And right as well, just knocking them down. So I agree with you, and I do think they're just a little. They just overhelp. They like to overhelp on the strong side. It leaves them out of position. They gave up some threes. They need to clean it up for sure. So, but honestly, I mean, I don't see a team shooting quite as well as Baylor the rest of the season. I mean, you never know. Some of these teams can get hot.
Some teams will get hot and they'll shoot 45, 50% against the BYU team, and that's just basketball. But I don't think that's sustainable going forward. And the fact that BYU won a game where a team shot 46% from three, going into this night blind, if you said, hey, Baylor's going to shoot 46% from beyond the arc.
Score 89.
Yeah, and they score 89 points, you go, oh, crap.
BJ Edgecombe has 28.
Yeah.
You'd be like, warm up the buses.
Yeah, you're like, oh, crap. All right, well, hopefully BYU beats UCF.
Exactly. Nolan called you out. He said, not exactly, but he says, I think BYU's 6th, not 7th. I think you had old standings. I think the standings have updated because according to ESPN, BYU is in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
because Baylor dropped
6th spot. Yeah, so UCF also dropped, and then BYU just have the head-to-head win over Baylor. Hey, you're sitting 6th in the Big 12.
Yeah, you're in a great spot. Like I said, you go 2-0 this week. All these other teams in front of you are going to drop games. You're sitting in a really, really pretty position. And then you don't have to see your name on Joe Lunardi's tweet every morning where he goes, updated bracketology, and you're not seeing BYU on that bubble anymore, and you put BYU firmly in. They go 2-0 in this stretch. I think they put themselves at the moment firmly in the tournament. And because the other thing about March is you don't want to go to Dayton. You don't want to play in the first four. You want to play in the actual tournament. And you also, BYU, last year they got screwed a little bit, if we're being honest, because they had to drop the seed line based on the Thursday, Friday, Sunday stuff or whatever. Playing that noon tip-off on Thursday is a brutal time.
Yeah.
Brutal time, especially for a team last year that shot a lot. Like, I think defense travels so much in those early tip-offs in March.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, Sixers is a great spot to be. You see if you can keep it up. This is a crazy conference, y'all. I mean, people are losing left and right. It's looked good for some teams for a while. Then all of a sudden, look at West Virginia. I mean, on this skid where they were, ranked and looking very good.
That's going to be a tough game, and Morgantown for BYU.
Don't even get me started. That road trip out to Cincinnati and West Virginia, big one to look at. But it's huge. I think last year's team ended up as the 7th seed in the Big 12. They were 6 or 7. So if you could finish, if you can sit there, that's
6.
Yeah. So if you can sit there, that's a pretty huge accomplishment, especially the way you started conference play.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, no, and also, I mean, I'm sure you can tell if you've listened to this podcast how much I love March Madness. I mean, Chase, we've talked about this a ton, but I just want to see this team play in March Madness. I want to hear the name called on Selection Sunday. I want to cover March Madness games, do these pods talking about March Madness. I love it so much. March Madness is like here, and then Christmas is like here. It's March Madness clears any other day of the year, any other holiday, except if my wife's listening, the anniversary is the best day of the year.
What day is that?
Let's move on.
No, it is.
I hope she's listening.
It is the best, and I want to see these cats play. I want to see Yegor Demon play on the biggest stage in college basketball. I think the world deserves to see that.
Yeah, and also, I got engaged a couple years ago on today. Are you supposed to celebrate that?
Did you just remember that now?
No.
Okay.
I got reminded.
If you got reminded, then you probably should celebrate it. If your wife's bringing that up, she's like, did she do like do you know what today is? And you're like,
I knew what today was. She asked, she said, do you know what today is? And I said, yeah, we got engaged on this day a couple years ago.
Oh, okay. I don't think it's something you particularly celebrate, but it's like something to be like, oh,
I think it's like, hey,
wow, I can't believe it's
tonight. It's an excuse to go get some food.
I can't
go get some takeout.
Yeah. I mean, we say that like 5 times a week.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like,
it's something you just bring up. You're like, that's cool. Let's look at pictures. But like, no, you don't need to celebrate that.
Yeah, okay. Just make it sure. I really hope she's listening.
Yeah.
So.
Go ahead and
she's probably asleep.
Submit your relationship advice. Questions
here
in the chat.
We'll get Mutual to sponsor a segment.
Life advice with on the church ball.
Yeah, we'll do that. That's off season stuff right there.
This podcast goes into the off season. It's just us.
It's just us giving out dating advice to BYU students. Like, hey, buddy, you gotta stop making out with chicks. You know, I don't think
Like-
you need to talk to your bishop. I'm just kidding. We got to
Dude,
move on. This is gonna get bad,
dude. Like, bro, if you served your mission with her, just let her go. Man. I know she was the STL dog. It's okay.
She probably accidentally swiped. It's okay. It's not the end of the world.
Dude, you think you're getting catfished? Let's look at your profile. Maybe you're catfishing.
This picture was your senior year of high school. You are 22. All right, we got to move on. Yeah, March Madness. Speaking of March Madness, I do want to see Yegor. The world deserves to see Yegor Demon, Richie Saunders, and these guys playing in March Madness. And oh man, I can't wait.
I can't. They're good enough to do it, y'all.
There's a lot of work to be done too.
tournament team.
So knock on wood. I don't know what this is, like a church table. So this is wood. Yeah.
This is definitely not wood, but that's okay.
Okay. All right.
We'll find some wood.
All right. We'll find some wood. There's some right there. Anyhow, any other chats?
No other chats. I think
Okay.
the people have gone to bed. It's officially midnight.
It is midnight Mountain Time, 2 a.m. on the East Coast. If you're watching this podcast on the East Coast right now live, shout out to you. And shout out to everyone that was in the chat. Shout out to everyone that listens to this podcast, follows the page, everything you guys do. We see everything. So thank you so much for the support and everything. And what else?
We got one last chat.
I love it.
People are signing off, so appreciate y'all. Jack says, taking the girlfriend to Chili's is always a look. Worked for me.
Oh, brother, I'm way ahead of you, Jack.
3 for me.
The 3 for me. The bacon ranch quesadillas, the chips and salsa are going to be flowing. It'll probably be I'll probably go on Thursday night, maybe watch a little whatever big WCC game is randomly on the TV at Chili's. It's going to be a great night.
Great. Then Folky says, thanks for the bedtime pod. You guys rock. Go Cougs.
Let's go.
You
go
guys
Cougs.
rock. Shout out, y'all.
Shout out, y'all. If there's enough demand, we will go live after Arizona, and it will be – I think we would be going live at about a little after midnight.
It'll be late.
I love it. That's fine.
No, it's fine
I'll
for
be
me.
editing until like 5 a.m.
It was just like the people, watching, listening.
There's enough demand. We'll do it.
If you're willing to stay up and listen to us, two idiots talk about BYU basketball, we're willing to stay up and do it.
We'll put out a thing on Saturday during halftime of UCF. We should do a quick live spaces. Have the people come in, chat, give their takes.
Yeah, we'll be on the couch. We'll be on the couch. We'll
be on the couch. Do a little Twitter spaces. Have people pop in during halftime. Whether people are freaking out or like, this team's amazing, we're going to the Final Four.
Yeah, we'll cook it up. We'll make it happen. We'll make it work. Nathan says, go Cougs. Guys, go Cougs.
Yeah.
Huge step in the right direction.
As unbiased journalists of,
yeah,
go
super
Cougs.
unbiased. Go freaking Cougs. Big sets for BYU. Huge win tonight. Big games coming up. Winnable. I think BYU's, dare I say, they're going to be favored in both of them. Dare I say it, Carter? The Arizona one we'll see.
UCF UCF, they should be probably about
2.5, 3.5.
I was going to go 4.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably about a 4-point favorite.
But
Arizona, they might be like a 1-point favorite. That's going to be tight.
It'll be tight. Could that be in the tic tac zone, Carter? But shout out y'all for listening. Big things coming for BYU basketball. They're on a roll. Don't be surprised if they lose some. It's the nature of college basketball.
It's not at this point. It's not the end of the world. They got their tough stuff done.
Hey, go 1-1. You're fine.
Yeah, a lot of this is go 1-1 right now. Take care of UCF. They're in a decent spot right now. If the tournament started today, I still think they're right on the edge right now. You got to win a couple more. Go 500 the rest of the way. Get some big wins. Win on March 8th in the Marriott Center against Utah. You're going to be feeling good about this season.
Absolutely. So that's going to do it for us today. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe, everything Church Ball, Field of 68 Podcast Network on YouTube. We love going live on Twitter. We also post a ton of clips, ton of tweets. So please make sure to like.
And Chase said if we get to 1,000 followers on TikTok, he'll do a dance.
I'll do it.
He'll do a dance with Cosmo.
I'll do the top like comment. How about even that? So if you guys can get us there, we'd greatly appreciate it. We love all the interaction. So keep commenting, liking, subscribing at Carter. What was it? Carter B8?
At Carter B8, at Chase_Rogers0, at Church Ball Pod on everything. Everything.
He's got this row.
Church Ball Pod. I say it in my sleep. We'll be back Thursday, UCF preview. So stay tuned for that. Maybe we go live again. No, we'll record that one. That'll be a shorter podcast.
You could have your Thursday nights. we will go live.
Yeah, we'll go. We'll
Listen to it on your own time.
Yeah, listen to it on your own time. This will be, and if you're listening on podcast right now, thank you for listening as well. Hit that subscribe button, rate, review, 5 stars, and we'll see y'all